So welcome to episode 11 of Level Up, everybody, our weekly Q&A show where your questions drive our conversation. If you're watching on YouTube or on LinkedIn, you're most welcome. Just follow the little links across to Slido, which is really where you get to drive the show by voting up the questions that you would most like answered. And of course, by adding your own. Voting is super important because the questions are really stacking up today, and that voting really does drive the show. The first half, it's general Q&A, and this week's theme is all about professional certification. So you can ask pretty much anything that you would like to relating to that. In the second half, well, we choose a topic where we want to spend a little bit more time. And today, I'm super excited because we're going to be looking at the whole idea about preparing for and taking exams, exam techniques specifically. So really do stay tuned for that. So look, let's jump straight into it. We'll meet our panel for today. We're going to start in South Africa and welcome back Lauran Anderson, who is a trainer and business owner at Enlighted. Welcome, Lauran. It's great to have you back on the panel.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me. I am, as you said, from South Africa, Lauran, lead senior trainer for Talk IT, training project management and ITSM courses.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much indeed, Lauran. And we're going to skip up to the UK next. Joining us from APMG in High Wycombe is Shanice Mitchell-Cox. And Shanice is a customer insight analyst with us and today's focus topic presenter. Hi, Shanice. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So thank you so much for having me here. As Nick said, I work for APMG as a customer insight analyst.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much indeed for joining. Now, further south in the UK is Waseem Chaudhry, who's the CEO and chief trainer at Tecknologia. So hi, Waseem, how are you doing?
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for having me over here, Nick. My name is Waseem Chaudhry, and I'm head of Tecknologia, and I'm the chief trainer over here as well. And we are a integrated partner of APMG as well as many other certification bodies itself. So good to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I know you're going to bring a lot of experience to the discussions, as is our next guest, Bikram Routray, who is an independent training consultant, lives over in Bangalore in India. So hi, Bikram, welcome.
Thank you, Nick. I'm joining in from the Garden City of India, Bangalore. I have got 20 plus years of corporate experience, and besides, I'm a consultant trainer and I'm an accredited trainer with APMG. Thank you, Nick.
Okay, excellent. Doing a lot of brilliant work online as well, helping people, not just in India, but in a whole range of other countries as well right now. And completing today's panelists group is Marc Waterman. He's joining also from the UK. Marc describes himself as a lifelong learner and whose continuous thirst for learning has really taken him from the areas of technical training through doing an MBA and also to exploring, areas like philosophy. So welcome, Marc. Great to have you here today.
Thanks, Nick. I'm really excited about this topic. Learning is something that I'm really passionate about, and for me, it's about that diversified learning as well. There's depth and there's breadth, and I enjoy having both of those aspects. So really excited to hear the discussion today.
Brilliant. Okay, great. So as I mentioned, Shanice will lead us through the focus topic a little bit later on, and I'm very much looking forward to that. It's all about really how to, choose the right course, prepare for your exam, and, give yourself the best chance of succeeding. So, and all of that preparation does actually start a little earlier than perhaps you might think. Now then, if you are watching this and you feel that you could join us and answer some of the questions and make a contribution, just do volunteer. Put yourself forward and let us know, and we'll be in touch with you very soon. So we're going to jump straight into the questions and hear from our question master for today, who is Charlotte Miller, who's joining us from the Thames Valley. May we have the first question, please, Charlotte?
You can, Nick. Question from Jeffrey in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. What are the advantages of certification rather than just learning from experience?
Okay, Lauran first, and then we'll come to Waseem next.
Hi. So as far as I'm concerned, there's a huge amount of weight that one can put on experience. It's something that can't be replaced. But certifications are giving you the foundation. You first need your foundation, you need your proof that you have that knowledge, and then you can go on and gain the experience. I believe the two are really hand in glove and should be treated that way. First certification, then experience.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Lauran. Great advice, Waseem. And then we'll come to Shanice.
Thank you very much, Nick. And I fully agree with Lauran over here. It's basically hand in glove. But just to give you an example over here, you need to have your driving license in order to be allowed on the road itself. So it goes in pretty similar way. When you have the certification, this basically certifies that you know about something in depth. It's not just your experience, of course, that is very, very important, as Lauran said as well. But certification is something to basically prove that you know the depth and breadth of whatever you are doing. So yes, certification is very, very important. But at the same time, it does not actually replace the experience. It is on top of the experience itself.
Okay, thank you. And Shanice?
I think it gives you a snapshot of what's happening currently. If you have learning experience and have been working in a sector for 20 years, there's going to be so much change in that time to now. So I think it gives you a snapshot of the current practices that other people are learning.
Yeah, absolutely right. And just kind of building on that, there's the whole area around standards, and I think because certifications generally are pinned to, something which is a little more constant, that you can then get a sense of grounding and having that baseline. So if you have an international standard that your certification is linked to, or a body of knowledge, or it's supported by a membership organization which has the if you like, the consolidated view of professionals around the world, it makes a huge difference. So instead of just learning from whoever is handing down their experience to you, or discovery learning, if you like, you also get that confidence that comes with baselining your understanding against a global standard. I mean, Marc, just to kind of expand on that a little bit, how important has that been, for you in your personal learning journey?
Yeah, I think it's a great question to build on what you're just saying there, Nick. When you attend a training course, it's been written by people who have decades of experience. So yes, we have our own experience, but let's learn from their experience and their mistakes as well, and build on that efficiency. I think the other benefit of certification is to be able to communicate this to other people as well. And I'm sure we'll get into it later, but certainly on a CV, to be able to say that I am certified by this accredited organization in this particular field, holds a bit more credibility than saying perhaps that I've been working within the industry for the last 3 years or something. Both have weights, as we heard earlier, but being able to have that externally verified, I think, also helps build your own confidence as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Bikram, you teach many people from different countries, different cultures, different backgrounds. How important is certification internationally?
Yes, Nick, I'll give you my experience when I started with lots of experience and when I jumped into project management with a certification. That definitely helped. And when I was selected for one of those multinationals, and I got to know I was selected because of my certification. So yes, to add it here, definitely your experience counts, but on top of it, if you can provide a cream layer through your certification, definitely you'll be having an added advantage.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. So very good. Thank you very much, panel. Really interesting, set of answers. Charlotte, let's move on then. Take the next question, please.
Thank you. We have a question from Ashia, Bangalore, India. What are the available certifications? I'm new to the industry, and if I would like to go with basic level of management, what certification should I opt?
Okay, all right then. Bikram, do you want to pick this up first? And I think it's a kind of multi-layer type question, so go ahead.
Yes, and it's a very interesting question. And I'll just add on what Mark has said earlier. Definitely, certification helps. And if somebody is at the beginning of their career, definitely certification, if you can have, that is always good to have. One of those certification that I'll recommend is WISP or WISP, working in small project. That is for the entry level certification in project management. So that is the one probably I would like to recommend.
Okay, all right, and I think you've picked a good use case there, certainly, Shanice, and then we'll come back to myself. Go ahead.
I think we could list many qualifications, especially from an APMG perspective, but I would most probably recommend doing some investigation into what qualification is going to benefit you and your career. What learning are you going to get out of this qualification? You could sit many qualifications. Is it relevant to your career? Most probably not, or it could be. So do some research and have a look around, because there's some great qualifications out there.
Yeah, Waseem, go ahead.
Yeah, just adding on to what Bikram and Shanice has said already. It's an open-ended question, basically trying to guide somebody without knowing the background, the domain that they are working in. If we could get to know a little bit about what industry they are working in, perhaps we would have been in a better position to recommend some very relevant certifications. But anybody who actually is looking to get themselves certified onto any accredited certifications, etc., they need to, first of all, identify what route, what path in their career they have actually adopted, and how do they want to actually develop it. For example, somebody may be in the business management area itself. Somebody may be working towards getting themselves into getting their hands dirty, basically in the risk management, etc. Somebody may be interested in doing some information security or related kind of work in the future, etc. So it completely depends on what area they are working in. But perhaps yes, if it is any general management, I would simply go with what Bikram said over there. WISP is a very good certification, but at the same time, there can be many other listed as well. For example, Foundation of Risk Management, Foundation in Project Management. Any certification that you can pick up will always going to be helpful.
Yeah, thanks very much, Arsha. If you're listening and watching, then by all means do come back to us with a little bit more kind of of the specifics, and we might be able to help you a wee bit further. Thank you very much, panel. Let's move on, and we'll take the next question, please, Charlotte.
Question from Peter in London, UK. Why should I take a certification? Why not just go on a training course?
Okay, Waseem, and go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So you mentioned it earlier that perhaps attending a training course, you learn from the experience of experienced trainers. We as trainers, I'm a chief trainer at Tecknologia. I have 22 plus years of experience as a practitioner, and then I chose to become a trainer. And there is a hard, very strict criteria that we need to meet as trainers before we are accredited by APMG or any other certification body for that sake. So it's basically that when you attend a training, you are going to be learning from the experience of the trainers itself, and perhaps they will be able to add value to your learning path itself. So it's very, very important to pay attention. Yes, some people are very good at self-paced learning itself, and they do all the work by themselves and they prepare themselves. I have been doing that in the past as well. But yes, at the same time, getting to attend a training itself with an experienced accredited trainer is definitely going to be much, much more value. And it's going to be a much quicker path than the self-paced learning itself. So it completely depends which circumstances are you in. I'd highly recommend to go for a certified accredited trainer based training itself, which can actually accelerate your path to learning and certification.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Waseem. That's great. And Lauran?
At Talk, the vast majority of courses that I train anyway offer the delegates the opportunity to certify. It's not compulsory. They can attend the course without doing the certification. Most people opt to certify. from my point of view, just two observations. When I train a group where I've got some certifying and some not, I definitely find that the drive and the focus with those certifying is much higher than with those not certifying. So from that point of view, there is that strong focus knowing I'm going to write an exam. This is counting for something. The second observation is, in my own opinion, you're putting in the time, you're doing the training, you're gathering the knowledge. Surely it makes sense to then get a piece of paper that says, Lauran's done this, Lauran understands this, Lauran can actually apply this. And that I can use for me. The training you use for the companies you work for. But the certification is yours. That goes on your CV and it affects your future. So for me, I would never recommend doing the training without the certification. However, it really does depend on your motivation.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think if you're working in, it depends what industry you're working in, but a lot of regulators now are moving away from simply accepting that people attended a training course, and they're looking much more now for evidence that you've understood it and that you can apply it in different situations. And that's where certification for your employer's perspective as well can make a huge difference, and for their clients. If you're working in a business critical role and you're providing a service to your employer's customers, then your customers are going to want to know that you are competent and capable and being able to do that role and perform that role in a whole set of different circumstances. So it's most definitely the ticket, which is going to help you, as Lauran said, your team and your organization, I think. So yeah, very good. Thank you very much indeed. Charlotte, let's move on and we'll take the next question now.
Okay, we've got a question from Zonta in Kenya. Will I be able to earn more money if I hold a certification in project management?
Okay, this is one of those it depends type questions, but Shanice, go first, then we'll hear from Waseem, please. Go ahead.
I don't think we can sit here today and guarantee that you will earn more money if you do get a certification. However, there is a higher chance that you could earn more money because you have certified and you have more of an understanding. And as Lauran said, you have that piece of paper to say that you have a qualification. So yeah, you could, but I can't guarantee yes.
Okay, all right, very good. Thanks very much, Waseem.
Yeah, just a quick answer over here for this one. As Shanae said, there can't be any guarantees for that. But as you're doing risk management, there are opportunities and threats. This is one opportunity which can definitely enhance the probability of increasing your pay rate in the future itself.
Okay, excellent.
So
thank you very
yeah,
much.
it can basically help.
Great, thank you. Bikram, what's your experience in this area? Do people earn more money when they have the certifications?
I think I'll go with Shanice and Waseem. So definitely there is an opportunity to gain more, the risk is in the positive side to go for it.
Yeah. And I think that's a very fair and very balanced view. So great question, by the way, because it's one that's asked an awful lot by many people around the world. If I do this, what happens next? So great question. Thank you, Charlotte. Let's move on and we'll take the next question, please.
We've got a question from Jashree Singh in New Delhi, India. The pandemic is a challenging time for everyone. Being a working mother, how difficult is it to appear at training and exam? Any certification would you recommend for a mid-career switchover?
Okay, all right. So there's a lot, again, packed into this question. So we'll try and take a few different perspectives on it. Waseem, do you want to start us off and then we'll go to Bikram?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So again, it's pretty similar question as we had earlier as well. Yes, you can have a lot of certifications, completely depend what you have been doing in the past and what you want to do in the future itself. But there are a number of certifications. As far as the challenge of pandemic and working mother is concerned, and this pandemic has changed so many things around us. And one of the good thing is working from home, and also at the same time, the virtual trainings that you can attend. So there are virtual classroom trainings, and there are basically part-time trainings in the day as well, which you can attend. There are weekend courses as well, which you can attend. So there are a number of opportunities for enhancing your skills, attending certification trainings itself. Again, I would reserve my answer towards the which certification itself. It completely depends on the background that you have been doing and which way you want to take in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Bikram?
Absolutely, I'm with you, Waseem. And talking about this pandemic, a few of my students, they have come up, typically working mothers. Bikram, my kid wants a pancake at this moment. Bikram, I want to go to take care of my kid. So many challenges. I know it's a tough time, but they are doing pretty good. And I'm talking about, kind of heavyweight exams like change management kind of stuff. And they are doing very good on that. So yes, it is a difficult time, but there are training, there are certification. It all depends on you, how you would like to take it.
Yeah, I think you pointed out some really good opportunities there, and I would say, no matter what your circumstances are, there's usually a study method that can work for you, and it's great to see, more women appearing in a whole range of different roles across different industries. And we had a really good conversation earlier on today about, making sure that we try and provide access to everybody, irrespective of, gender, and to improve the level of access that people have. And often, just offering different scheduling, for learning and education can make all of the difference, so that you can kind of fit that in around, the other responsibilities that we have as carers and parents and so on. So great. So good question. Thank you very much indeed for that. Charlotte, let's move on, please.
Question from Peter, London, UK. Some certifications are expensive. How do I know which ones to invest in?
Mark, which horse do you back in all of this?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think I see Peter's in London, so I use an example from the UK. In that of project management, we generally have two bodies of knowledge. We have the Association of Project Managers, and we have Prince 2, for example. Which one should I take? And it's a question that I've been asked a few times. And there's two elements that I would look at. Firstly, they are slightly different, although broadly similar. So the first one is, what do you want to get out of it? What do you want to learn from it, is one element. The second element is in understanding what you want from it, what you want to achieve from it. If it's a new job, or if you're looking at particular industries, etc., take a look at job postings, take a look at, I've forgotten the word for them now, but the job postings.
The job websites and those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Nick. And see what language they are using. Because I noticed in some industries, they specifically call out Prince 2. In other industries, they specifically call out the Association of Project Managers. So what do you want to achieve from it? And what are people asking for in the industry that you want to move towards?
Yeah, some really good points. Lauren, briefly, go ahead.
Very briefly, because I very much agree with what Marc has said. So just to add to that, make sure you understand where you want to go, because then if you follow that with everything that Marc has said, you can't go wrong. If I know what I want to be, then I start looking at the applications, the job listings, match up what they're asking for with my chosen certification, and then you have your path.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Be clear with your training provider. Take time to choose the right course of study, explore things, talk to people, jump into forums and groups on LinkedIn, and chat to people who are already doing particular roles, to think about whether or not those roles are, really going to suit you before you go down that path. Just gather in some information and keep a very open mind about it. Yes, Shanice.
You can always do a study paper as well, or a practice paper, just to see if this area interests you. So I would have a look at some free materials before you invest into something that is a little bit more expensive.
Okay, great options there for us. Very good. So I think we've got time for maybe one more question before we get to the focus topic. So Charlotte, can we have the next question, please?
Yes, of course. We've got a question from Hamid Kamal Helshabi. Are there best practices show/user cases that I can follow during my study of the Agile PM Foundation? And if yes, please elaborate on them.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
I actually have my hand up for the next question, so I apologise for that, Nick.
Okay,
I think Waseem
all
could
right.
be better placed to answer this
Okay,
one.
that's fine. No problem at all. So we'll jump to Waseem, and then we'll come back to you for one. You're a little bit ahead of us there, Mark. So yeah, go ahead, Waseem.
No worries, that's all right, Mark and Nick. Right, so Agile PM, as Shanice just mentioned in the response to the previous question, there are a number of sample papers and field materials available. There are a number of YouTube videos, in fact, which are available, which give you a very good sense of what you're going to be going through. If you go through any website, for example, Tecknologia's website, we have listed down the Agile PM Foundation and Practitioner certifications separately. You can go through and you can actually look at what contents are going to be covered over there. And then looking into that content, of course, you can start preparing it accordingly over there. Now, as far as the use cases, etc., are concerned, those are more going to be relevant to the practitioner side of things rather than the foundation material itself. Foundation is more going to be testing your knowledge, whether you understand what has been actually described to you in the foundation theory itself. Practitioner is more about getting you through the exercise of implementing that knowledge that you have gained basically onto a practical scenario itself. So best practices, yes, there are actually there are in the handbook itself. It's all about the best practices that Agile PM foundation level is trying to show you. But showcases and use cases, etc. I don't believe that you'll be able to get many of them over here, if I'm correctly understanding what you wanted to ask over here. But as far as, again, if your question is concerning the practice that you want to actually go through in order to make sure that you successfully pass the exam and you understand the knowledge and the theory, there is plenty of material. There are, of course, accredited training providers who are providing the training throughout. So you can go through any one of them, and it is going to be always helpful.
Okay, thank you very much. And Shanice, rather, you wanted to add something.
Yes, so I would get myself over to the Agile Business Consortium website, have a look through there. There is so many resources, have a look at some sample papers, like I said previously. But yeah, if you get over to the Agile Business Consortium website, there'll be lots of resources there.
It's a really good place to start your learning journey. I totally agree with that. Now, look, panel, thank you very much indeed. Very interesting general Q&A session there. I know that we've got questions also stacking up on our focus topic, which is somewhere that we spend a bit more time and we kind of really think it through. So we're going to change gear. And we're going to move into that right now. So if you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn and you're in Slido there are two rooms in Slido. So just click on the focus topic room, and then you can put your questions in, and they will come straight into Shanice. So today our topic is all about preparing yourself for those key examinations and taking those qualifications, right from the beginning of selecting even which course and provider might be right for you, all of the way through to the sharing the warm glow of success at the end. So Shanice, really looking forward to this and you sharing your experience with us. So please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Nick. So I wanted to start with this quote, as it really deeply resonates with me and my views on learning as an adult. There has been plenty of times in my life where I thought the challenge was impossible until I'd achieved it. For example, when I was a toddler, the thought of taking my first steps seemed impossible, yet I managed to walk to my parents' arms. When I was in school, the thought of trying to learn all of those subjects and pass my exams seemed impossible, yet I managed to learn lots of information and pass my GCSEs. When I joined university, I thought studying my accounting module was going to be impossible, as I really struggled with maths, yet I managed to pass that module. See, throughout our lives, challenges like the ones that I've just mentioned always arise, no matter the severity. We still push ourselves to achieve these impossible challenges. We continue to learn, we give it a try, and sometimes we may fail, but we learn again and try again to achieve. So I do agree with Nelson. It always seems impossible until it's done. And I think the possible to making the impossible possible is through learning. So when it comes to finding the right training provider, studying as an adult, you need to be supported. So finding the right course for you is so important. It's most probably just as important as taking your exam and sharing your success. So we've made it really easy to search by your preferred country and your spoken language. It's also great to see what options of studying you can do. There are so many options like online virtual courses, self-paced e-learning courses, and you can attend a classroom exam as well. It really is about making you feel as supported and comfortable as possible when learning with APMG and our training providers. So, apologies, went a little bit too far then. So exam preparation. I've broken these down into a few steps. So first of all, I'd recommend sourcing your study materials. As we've mentioned, books, syllabuses, case studies, practice papers, videos, webinars, templates. There is just so much out there. So have a good search and find all the material to help you on your learning journey. The second step, finding the right study technique. Now, I feel this one's really important. There are so many different ways to learn. Are you a digital learner? Are you a paper to pen kind of person? Do you prefer using a hard copy book or an ebook? Finding your own study technique will help you on your time management, and it will help you find the best way to get the most out of your studies. Remember, work smart and not hard. Some extra tips to help you learn. A good starting point when it comes to taking notes and annotating. You know, there's so much information out there. Get out there and learn how to take notes properly, annotate properly, because when it comes to further study sessions, you will know if this is the right way for you. I also find that mind maps are a great way to unlock and recall information. Flashcards are another easy way to access your study materials quickly. I always use them to recite easy information just before a test or an exam. If you're a digital learner, recording digital notes gives you access to your study materials wherever you are. Similar to a podcast, you can listen to your notes on a walk, on the bus, having a coffee in a cafe. It's a really effective way of revising. Teach your subject to others. Remember, if you can teach your subject to your dog, you know your stuff, so go for it. The fourth step, where to study. I would recommend finding a quiet, comfortable area, and that'll improve your concentration. Minimal distractions can help your mind focus. I know it can be really difficult sometimes as we live really busy lives, but even if you can find somewhere for a few hours a week, it will help you create a safe and a comfortable learning space. Study less, but with greater intensity. Short bursts of studying are better than solid hours of studying. Preparation is key, so get prepared before your exam so that on the exam day, all you have to do is turn up and answer those questions. Make sure you have your ID available. There is nothing more stressful than rushing around looking for things before your exam. I'd ask myself a few questions before my exam day arrives. Have you checked the exam format? Is it a multiple choice exam or a problem/case-based exam? Is the exam an open book or a closed book exam? Can you use a hard copy book or an ebook? Are you allowed additional studying material? It's always really beneficial to know all of this stuff before you can connect to your exam. Do a test run so you know how to connect. Speak to your course provider or your exam institute about connecting, and always look at the exam instructions. I would also make sure I had all the contact details just in case something was going to go wrong. Speak with your training provider or your exam institute about what to do should something happen in your exam. taking your exam. Exam instructions are there for a reason. You'll find key information such as how long your exam will need to be, what marks you need to achieve, the structure of the exam. So familiarise yourself before exam day so you know. Making sure you have your ID ready is a really important thing. I know I've already said it, but it is really stressful rushing around just before your exam time. Another top tip is getting a good night's sleep before your exam. Feeling rested will help you concentrate. If you are sitting an exam online, make sure you meet the technical requirements. Webcam, microphone, internet issues can cause a whole load of stress, so make sure you know that you meet the requirements. Get to your exam a couple of minutes early. If you're sitting an online exam, I would recommend getting on the platform and familiarising yourself with everything. Remember, remain calm and take a few slow, deep breaths. Allocate time for each question, and if you do not understand the question, flag it and return back to it later. Use all of your exam time and go back to flag questions. I'd also recommend reviewing all of your answers before submitting your exam. And this is the most important one. Believe in yourself. Remember, it always seems impossible until it's done. So you've done the hard part. You've answered those exam questions. You've put all your valuable learning into practice. You've been waiting for those results to patiently come back. And congratulations, you've passed your exam. So what's the last step? Well, of course, sharing your success to the world. What an amazing achievement to shout about from the rooftops. APMG and our partners are in partnership with Credly to help you share your qualification successes. So once you have passed your exam, you can celebrate and show your success to your network. Sometimes you can print an e-certificate, which you can do at home, as well as sharing your digital badge on your social media accounts or on your website. Celebrate all your hard work, share your successes, and continue to learn, because you can achieve the impossible.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Shanice. You've said so much. You've covered such a wide variety of information there. I mean, I wanted to kind of, start off, if I may, just at the beginning of that, kind of learning journey, right? Which is where you were saying about, assembling those learning materials, because I think when people are researching online and they're trying to find a course and a course provider, you come across lots of different kind of parts of information. And I hadn't thought about doing that, just bookmarking those and maybe making your own, kind of little, if you like, set of links and connections and resources that you could then use, during your study program. So what a brilliant set of advice. That's really, really wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. Great job on the presentation. So let's hear some of the questions that we've got kind of stacking up for us on the focus topic. Charlotte, can we have the first focus topic question, please?
We can, Nick. Sorry, we've got a question from Hayley in Canberra, Australia. What are the most common mistakes you see people making when they're sitting an exam, and how can they be avoided?
Okay, Shanice, what's the kind of general sort of feedback that you pick up from candidates?
I would say not being prepared. As I've said, being prepared is key. If you have everything sorted, you're comfortable, you're relaxed before your exam, you're not going to worry about all of those things. You are just going to simply focus on the questions. And that is the most important thing, focusing on all of those questions, all that learning that you've spent weeks, learning, put that into that exam and don't worry about all those other things.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Waseem?
Yeah, just adding on to what Shanice said, one of the mistakes that I have observed quite often is that delegates do not go back and recheck their answers. If they have time or not, they do not go back and recheck their answers. So it is very, very important that when people are sitting on the exams, they actually take the most out of it. Do not try to finish the exam unless until you're 100% sure that whatever you answered is correct and you cannot add any more value into it, any more correct answers to it, use it up to the last second. To be honest with you, it's automatically going to be finishing more in most of the exams, in online exams. Even if it is a paper-based exam, the examiner is the invigilator is not going to allow you to go any second above. So it is best interest of yours to make the most of the every second that you have over there. I just took an online exam this morning, and thankfully I passed. So it is a fresh experience right from today that I'm sharing. I had plenty of time in that. Luckily, I was well prepared, and I took time to actually flag the questions that I was not 100% sure about, and then I went back and reviewed all of my flagged questions one after another. And then once I was sure that I have answered it correctly, I would remove the flag and move on to the next one. And I absolutely used all the time provided in the examination itself in order to correct my mistakes.
Thank you very much. Lauran, briefly.
Just briefly, not to be contradictory, I do agree with everything that's been said, but I would also like to caution, I've invigilated a number of the exams when I've trained away from Talk's main office. And I quite often see people panicking and changing correct answers to incorrect answers. Know your work. So Shanice's statement about know the work, I think that's your first point. And then when you know the work, don't second guess yourself. If you know you're right, leave it alone and move on.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, Lauran. And it does also echo something that we have seen occasionally when somebody's very experienced in a topic and they come to be recertified perhaps, or they come as a practitioner and they've had that experience first and they're taking the certification almost second, that actually you can be a little bit too casual and you tend to forget to learn the curriculum which is being examined. We do see that from time to time. All right. It especially affects people who are very good at their job because they're fixing things and they're in a dynamic working environment. They're making key decisions on the fly all of the time. But it can mean that sometimes the answer that you might give may be perfectly suited to your domain and your experience and your situation, but it may not be that standard that is actually being examined at the time. So if you're a very experienced person, it's always worthwhile doing the study and following the advice that Shanice has outlined. It gives you a much better chance of success. Next question, please, Charlotte.
Thank you, Nick. We've got a question from Dave. I only have a work laptop. Are there any restrictions when taking an online exam?
Shanice, go ahead.
So I can only answer this from an APMG perspective. My best recommendation is once you've been booked on the exam, understand what is required, what is the technical requirements. If you are using a work laptop, do we recommend that? And if we don't, maybe speak with our technical help desk. We may be able to find an alternative option for you to sit your exam on a different laptop.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some technical things that you can do just to make sure, because it depends how your laptop is connected to the internet. If you're going through your own corporate network, virtual private networks and other things like that can sometimes impact the way in which your computer connects. And also the technology which is used to be able to provide a remote proctoring service may or may not be compatible with the particular setup. So there's a really easy way to fix that problem. And it's actually in the guidance generally that you go online and you try it out and you sit one of the practice exams. And if it all works, then on the day you can relax and you can perform at your best. Waseem, is there anything else that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, just to add on over here, not to scare anybody, but yes, there is a leading certification body in the UK which uses an online invigilation exam software. Unfortunately, it has a lot of problems on the corporate laptops. So there are firewall restrictions on that, and it does not allow to be bypassed over there. So please make sure that whenever you book your online exam and you're using your work laptop, you make sure that either it works or you use another machine because there is going to be no workaround on that. If you do not check it on the day itself, you might even end up losing the exam voucher itself. So be careful.
Okay, yeah, so some good advice, easily overcome if you plan ahead a little and follow Shanice's advice, and make sure that you can actually download those test papers and run a test in real time. Works really, really well. So very good. Thank you very much. Next question, please, Charlotte.
We've got a question from Rennie in Amsterdam. I'm about to write my Agile PM Practitioner exam. What tips can you share with me to make my exam experience smoother? I'm very nervous about writing this long exam.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Thanks. I remember my APM practitioner exam and feeling the same way. The essence is to be able to demonstrate your competence in the field. And so a model that I've tended to fall back on that's worked quite well for me is the STAR model. Some of you may have heard it, where for the structure of the answer, I look at S, the situation, T, the task, what did I do? What needed to be done? A, the action that I took, and R, the response or the result of what that was. So, and just having that, if I want to be a star, use STAR: situation, task, action, result.
Really good idea. Thank you for the mnemonic as well. That's very helpful. Bikram, go ahead, please.
Yes, on top of it, I would like to add, like for this practitioner exam, when these are all open book, most of them are open book exams, people take it for granted, because there is an open book, I'll be able to view it any point in time, and that makes it difficult. So remember, book is just for reference, not to be read during the exam. Preparation, as Shanice mentioned, before coming to the exam, and book is just for your reference. So that will be my advice.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, some really good advice there on some prioritization techniques. Give yourself some structure. Keep an eye on the clock. Kind of see how things are going, and you can always do one of those test papers as well to give you that exam experience. If you've not sat an exam for a little while, it's a good idea to get yourself back in the driving seat before the real thing. Very good. Next question, please, Charlotte.
We've got a question from Lauran in Paris, in France. I recently failed my exam because I didn't finish all of the questions. What is the best technique to manage my time during the exam session?
Okay, Shanice, and then Waseem.
So before you sit the exam again, I would look at those requirements. How many questions do you have to answer? How long is your exam? And break it down by that. I would also recommend sitting a sample paper for a time management purpose solely. Break it down, and each time you sit a practice paper, try and shave a few seconds off of your previous attempt.
Okay, very good. Go for the personal best. Waseem?
Yeah, so Lauran, just a couple of advices over here. One, practice the sample exam. Second, do not waste on your time onto any questions to which you are confused about, which answer is correct, which option is correct. Flag it and move on, and answer those questions to which you are sure about, right? And you can always come back. It is always going to be saving you, because you might be able to answer, you're more than likely to be able to answer the more questions correctly than wasting time on one question, which is going to be eating up time for next 4 questions. So these 2 things, and practice, of course, is going to be making you perfect.
Okay, very good. I can see the kind of questions stacking up a little bit. So we're going to move a little bit more quickly now for the last couple, so we can fit 2 more in. Charlotte, next question, please.
Got a question from Peter, London, UK. Which do you think is best, taking an exam soon after the course finishes or waiting a while?
Shanice, and then Waseem.
I do think this is down to your own personal learning skills. But for me, I take the test as soon as I've learned all the information, just so it's fresh in my head, and I can put all the learning subjects into practice straight away.
Thanks. Waseem, briefly, and then Lauran.
Fully agreed with Shanice over here. You need to make yourself aware of what your situation is and which way you would prefer it. But of course, my own style is that I would learn something and I would want to take a test as soon as possible, because it's absolutely fresh in my mind.
Okay, thanks, Lauran.
Also, very much in agreement with the other two. Just from experience as far as my delegates go, keeping in consideration their own schedules and their learning styles. Those that wait to write, I invariably see repeating the course with me. Those that write as quickly as possible, within about a week of the training to 2 weeks, depending on the course, they are definitely doing a lot better. I think the courses put everything fresh in the front of your mind.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. We've got time for one last question. Please, Charlotte.
I think this is a question for Shanice. We do have lots of other questions, and I just wondered, just to make sure that people were aware, that we would answer their questions that they've asked, if they could put some commentary into perhaps the LinkedIn chat, and we'll get back to them at a later date. But I think this question's for you, or Shanice or Nick. Can I take an exam without going on a training course?
Okay, all right.
You
So what are
can.
the kind of self-study options, Shanice, would you say? Go ahead.
You can sit a self-study option. You would have a whole year to sit that exam from the date of purchase, and you would have to take the initiative to source your material, look at the syllabus, do all the recommended reading, book in your exam yourself. My best recommendation, if you're looking to self-study, contact your exam institute and still get some guidance. We want you to be just as prepared as candidates that are sitting through a training course.
Yeah, and I would echo much of that. I would say that there are, a whole variety of qualifications out there which are designed for self-study candidates. They are structured in a particular way, and the supporting documentation is provided free of charge, and you can engage with all of that and so on. Now, as you then move into the considerations of other constraints, like the time that you have available or the plan that you have in order to be able to use that certification, to secure perhaps a new role or a new responsibility, or to meet a regulatory requirement, those are the constraints where it's really worthwhile thinking, should I invest a little bit and get some help and counsel and advice from people who do this every day? Okay, because when you do, generally you will find that they facilitate your learning. They act as the catalyst for your learning. They add value. It's much more than just bringing the course to life. They're actually trying to differentiate for you as an individual. And they're using all of that experience of the many years that they have of, helping people learn, and all of those teaching skills to connect with you in a more meaningful way. So absolutely, yes, you can self-study, and it's a great route to go, and it suits many people in many situations. I would also say, consider going down the route of getting a little help from your friends along the way, and look at the accredited training organizations and their provision. Marc, you've done both. What do you find works for you?
Yeah, I think I would recommend the training course. And one of the reasons for that is the language that's used. Particularly if you have many years experience, you can become used to terminology within a particular organization, which might be slightly different to the certification, the certified qualification. And that language can trip you up a little bit and not really understand what the question is asking. So I'd be very conscious about where I receive that material from and make sure it's specific for the certification that I was pursuing.
Good advice. Good advice. Well, look, really great job, panel. Thank you very much to everybody who's been online submitting your questions. To Charlotte's earlier point, we will see what we can do to try and answer as many that we can in the chat, which is on LinkedIn and also in the comments on the YouTube video itself. So we will do that. So panelists, now I'd just like to come around and ask for your closing remarks, if I may. So Shanice, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Lauran.
Thanks so much, Nick. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this conversation. It was really lovely to get to know the other panelists as well. One thing I would say is training organisations are there for you. So that is their sole purpose. Go to them, they'll be the experts as well.
Okay, thank you, Lauran, and then Waseem.
Thanks, Nick. Yes, it was. It was such a stunning panel, and I think so necessary. In the training space, there's so many nerves and expectations around the exam space and the certification space that I think there's really a need for this type of topic. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Lauran. Waseem, and then Marc.
Thank you very much, Nick, and everybody from APMG. It's the Level Up series itself is absolutely wonderful idea. You're doing a great job over here, helping everybody understand exactly and bringing up so relevant topics. It's been a pleasure to be part of this very learned panel itself, and I've really enjoyed myself answering some of the good questions, great questions over here. And looking forward to being on one of the panels in the future soon.
Okay, thanks very much, Waseem. Marc, and then Bikram.
Absolutely echo everything, and something that has stuck with me from this conversation, and I think it was Stephen Covey who suggested that you should start with the end in mind. Think about your intention for the exam, the training course, the certification. Where do you want to go? And my experience is that the training organizations, the exam, everybody wants you to succeed. So remembering that no one's there to trip you out. They want you to show your best.
Definitely, definitely. Bikram, and then Charlotte.
Thank you, Nick. It's an interesting panel. I have been following it from level 1, episode 1, and it has been interesting. And it's good to be on the other side of the story at this moment. So looking forward to it, and definitely so many interesting questions today. Thank you, Nick.
Well, thanks very much. Thank you for sticking with us. We'll have to think. I wonder if there'll be an exam question soon when we get to episode 20. We'll have to wait and see. Charlotte, go ahead.
Just to say a big thank you for the panel. It's been a superb episode, and I think this is one of our most popular topics that we've done a level up episode on. It's been fantastic. I've learned so much, and I'm sure that lots of people have learned so much from all of the panelists' advice that they've given today.
Okay, it's very true. It is one of the most popular and most commonly kind of asked questions that we receive as an examination institute. So thank you very much, Charlotte. Okay, so let's look forward now. So great job, panel. Really brilliant. You have our thanks and the thanks of everybody who's been online today submitting questions. Next Monday in episode 12, we're going to return to the world of public-private partnerships. You may remember a few weeks ago, we started off looking at those. And on this particular occasion, we're going to be focusing on PPPs which are more service-led. So not just building bridges and putting in new power stations and all of that good stuff, but actually thinking about service delivery for citizens and what might that mean for a public-private partnership, how it's constructed, how it's put together, and how it's delivered. Richard Foster, who was one of the contributing authors to the original body of knowledge from the World Bank around PPPs, will be taking us through that one. So it's a really great show to join. Just look on YouTube and on LinkedIn for information on that one. Later on, and the same day, we'll be looking at the IT service management world, and in particular, the challenges facing the modern service manager who has now perhaps more tech, more machine learning and more AI to be able to help. But I think expectations now, particularly in a post-pandemic world, are sky high in terms of service delivery and the uptimes and the minimizing outages and keeping people safe and secure and minding all of the privacy and and so on and so on. So huge challenges for the modern service manager. So we're going to be exploring that in some detail next Monday. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe to the show. You can just point your phone at the little QR code if you're watching this on a computer, and we'll send you a personal summary of what's coming up each week, how you can join us on the panel and volunteer to help out on Level Up, and how you yourself can level up your career with APMG. So thanks very much, everybody, and we'll see you on the next show. Thanks. Bye-bye now.